Let's stop pretending this is shocking.
One day it was like 11 men that all done something to me.
Let's stop pretending we didn't know. Because we did. We knew. We've known for decades. And they, the politicians, the police, the civil servants, they knew too. And we knew that they knew. And they knew that we knew they knew. But they just didn't care enough to act. They cared more about their careers, their reputations, their student union multicultural wet dream than they did about British girls getting raped. Channel 4's Groomed, a national scandal didn't reveal anything new to those of us who've been paying attention, but it confirmed once again the utter moral bankruptcy of this country's institutions.
Ellie Reynolds told Cumbria Police 6 years ago that one of the brothers, known as Sarge Mia, raped and violently abused her. The Crown Prosecution Service decided not to take her case to court. He's now been convicted of more than 40 serious sexual offences, including child rape and indecent assault.
Vulnerable girls, some as young as 11, abused, trafficked, raped, tortured, predominantly by Pakistani heritage men. Not in the godforsaken back streets of Karachi, but in the terraced houses of mainly Lancashire and Yorkshire. And all of it happened under the watchful eye of the very people we pay to protect them. Not out of ignorance, but out of political convenience. This didn't start with one grooming gang. It started with a decision made decades ago by people in power to open Britain's borders without asking the public. Mass immigration, not from neighbouring cultures, but from societies with vastly different moral codes, values and religious assumptions. Cultures where women are second class, where non-believers are scorned, and where the word honour is used to excuse the most horrific abuse. They didn't ask us, they didn't warn us, they just did it. And when we raised concerns, they labelled us, they mocked us, they called us racists, xenophobes, gammon, and most offensively of all, far-right extremists. This despite the fact that it was our grandfathers who literally spent the 1940s saving the world from the far-right. They imported a worldview that sees women, especially outsiders, as subordinates, property, targets, then told us to integrate.
We brought our 7 and 8-year-olds here for a visit at the mosque.
Told us to celebrate it. But what they never did was listen. The result? They imported not just Labour, but an ideology which sees white, non-Muslim girls as fair game. They brought in communities where some men are raised to believe that women who aren't covered head to toe are asking for it, where infidel girls don't count, where grooming is not just tolerated, but indeed justified. And while our daughters were crying out for help, bleeding, drugged, trafficked, the police had a much more important priority handed to them by our government: to maintain community cohesion.
I raped you. You can't do. Maybe I'll come to your house. I'll kidnap you. The police won't do anything.
The councils got the same memo, and the social workers were rewriting reports to avoid offending anyone. Promiscuous, at risk of exploitation, making lifestyle choices. Are you sick yet? Because I am. This wasn't neglect. This was collusion. Institutional cowardice dressed up as cultural sensitivity. A state-sponsored cover-up. Because the truth was too politically dangerous. They'd messed up and they knew it. We knew it for sure. We were on the front line. Time and again they referred to these victims, these children, as promiscuous, troubled, making choices. They blamed the girls, they protected the abusers, they buried the evidence, and the moment someone blew the whistle, they got rid of the whistleblower. This wasn't an accident, it was a policy, a deliberate choice to protect their ideology of multiculturalism over the lives of children, a choice to treat vulnerable British girls as collateral damage in the great social experiment to change Britain. So let's name them. Labour, the party that opened the floodgates and sold out its own working class base.
Net migration was around about 50,000, and then from the moment, almost 1997, the Labour government seems to have been entirely pivotal in changing the course of migration. Would you say that's right?
Absolutely right.
Tories, the party that promised border control and instead delivered record net migration.
We do want to bring net migration down to sustainable levels. We believe that is the tens of thousands. And of course, once we leave the European Union, we will have the opportunity to ensure that we have control of our borders.
Lib Dems, Greens, SNP, every other so-called progressive voice that cries for compassion while burying police reports and gagging survivors. They wore their compassion like a badge of honour, while ignoring the screams of the most voiceless people in the country. We were gaslit for decades, told we were imagining it, told we were hateful for noticing patterns, told our instincts were wrong, our concerns irrational, told that the price of multicultural peace and love was to shut up. But it wasn't just the girls who were groomed, it was the entire British public. We were groomed to accept lies, groomed to believe tolerance meant self-destruction, groomed to doubt our own eyes, our own judgment, our own moral compass. And all the while the victims multiplied, the trauma deepened, and the perpetrators, many of them walked free. Some are still walking free, protected by a system more concerned with optics than justice. This is not about race. This is about right and wrong. This is about values. Some cultures protect the weak, others exploit them. Some elevate women, others treat them like meat. And when you import those values en masse, without assimilation, without accountability, without honesty, you don't get harmony, you get chaos. You get violence. You get Rotherham, Rochdale, Oxford, Telford and dozens of others. You get hell on earth for girls who are just looking for safety. Make no mistake, this is a clash of civilizations in microcosm. The Christian ethic, which is the base software of Britain, versus a tribal, supremacist Islamic mindset. One values every human as bearing the image of God, even the most delinquent white scally girl. The other divides the world into us and them, and teaches that they, as infidels, have no humanity that deserves respect. One builds a society of true equality and justice. One doesn't. So this is not about being anti-Asian or anti-Muslim. It's about refusing to tolerate the intolerable. It's about telling the truth, that in Britain, girls should never be sacrificed on the altar of multicultural sensitivity. That our values, the British values shaped by our Christian heritage, do not permit the strong to prey on the weak, no matter what excuse you mutter in a foreign language or behind closed doors. Now contrast that with the values seen in these grooming gangs, a warped religious mindset that divides the world into the pure and the dirty, where a covered Muslim woman is to be protected, but a white British girl is fair game.
The evidence suggests that she looked older than 16. And obviously she wasn't a virgin or new to sex.
So you don't see it as rape?
I don't.
And she's 13. She's 13 years old.
Where sexual abuse of outsiders is excused by some as religious duty. Where the weak aren't lifted, they're hunted. That is the difference. Christianity uplifts the fallen. That other worldview tramples them. One gives water to the thirsty. The other drugs them, rapes them, and calls it justified. So no, we will not pretend both cultures are the same, because they are not. And now the people who let it happen want to move on. They want us to forget. Don't look back in anger. I'm sorry. We are done being polite. We are done being silent. We are done being groomed. The British public has been groomed. And it's time for the British public of all creeds and colours to say, enough.